Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
It is picked off by the line. Darius Slay's got it. Coming back right side 25. Picks up a block at the 30. Darius at the 40.
Drink it in, drink it in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Rolls to the right. Stafford throws deep. Got a man out there. End zone. Caught. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Marvin Jones.
Stafford! Drink it in, drink it in.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Cornbread.
Stafford! Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on, everybody? We are back, and I am sick, man. I am sick as a dog, but I know the Kool-Aid drinkers out there want some Lions info, so I got 2 cough drops in, and I got Griff on the other end of the line. Griff, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man. Nice to be around again. How's it going?
Oh, man, good stuff, good stuff. So, other than this cold I'm trying to kick, we're all good, and, man, we got some great stuff off the top. So normally we do news and notes and kind of what's happening with the Lions again, so a little bit of a slower period. But I did come through with some unique questions I like to talk about right off the get-go. We'll dive into the Chicago Rewind we got today for the people. And then we also got some listener questions we'd like to hit at the end as well. So you ready to do this?
Yeah, let's knock this out, man.
All right, cool. So the first question I have for you, Griff, because like the NFL, they bowed down, they settled, which normally means guilt. The whole Kaepernick lawsuit, nobody's really sure how much money he got, this, that, and the other. But I was just curious, man. A couple of years that went by, like, would you ever accept Kaepernick as like the Lions' backup or as a football player on the Detroit Lions in 2019 moving forward, or you just don't want him anywhere near our football team? What do you think?
Honestly, I think at this point with where the Lions are at, he'd be more of a distraction than any help, even as a backup quarterback. And especially with the way Stafford's playing, like, I know you're hearing it and reading it. I'm hearing it and reading it. How like fans are like calling for Stafford's head, get rid of him, trade him, release him, do whatever. Even though we've talked about this financially, wouldn't make sense to do that. Because as soon as he has like a bad game or bad series, people are going to be calling for Kaepernick to go in. So it might come to the point where he's kind of looking over his shoulder. And I know we've discussed this in the past where ding, hit the bell, where you're like, maybe it might be a good thing for Stafford to have some competition. Maybe he's just a little too comfortable thinking, whatever he does, he's going to be the starter. But he's being paid that way. And to bring a guy in where I think people would be calling for him and, it's like, hey, come on, get him in. Kaepernick went to Super Bowl. But then there's another big group of fans that would not want to see him at all. And I think there'd be boos. So it's just like, I think that's almost kind of that way with any team, that there would be a big split, and people would want to see him, people wouldn't want to see him. And I think right now what the Lions need is pretty much all hands on deck, all fans in the same boat, rowing the same way with this team, and not a divide. So I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, my take, normally we're pretty short here in the beginning, but I kind of want to work through a couple of these questions. So my take on the Kaepernick thing is, when it comes down to football, like, I know 2 years ago, or definitely when he made that Super Bowl run, I thought this guy was going to change the NFL. He was, he could run like a deer. He had a rocket for an arm. He was smart. He looked like the young up-and-coming player that was going to revolutionize the position. Then he kind of got paid and didn't play so well. And with it being a couple of years now, like, I just don't even know where he'd be at as a player. But my thing is, I kind of feel like it's almost unfair that he's been out of the league for 2 years, knowing that he's better. If he hasn't totally deteriorated, he's got to be better than most backups or third strings in the NFL. So when I was talking about it on Twitter, I was kind of just saying from a football perspective, if he's 75% of what he was when he was a pretty good player, having him on your football team, being able to come in when an injury happens, all that type of thing makes sense. But I agree with you that, some of the distractions, I know when I put it out there online, there were people that were like, oh yeah, I'm with you. Or other people were like, I would stop watching the team or I got a real issue with it. So, it's a dividing issue, no doubt about it. But it just seems like now that he's settled and if he's going to get an opportunity in the NFL, we could use a backup quarterback and would this guy be motivated, all that type of stuff. But I'm with you. I mean, I don't see it happening, but I thought it was something worthy to talk about. And kind of part of me hopes this guy gets another chance because I think what he did to the flag was a little bit disrespectful. But I also think that in a weird way, he was kind of doing a quiet protest for something he believed in and something that was and probably still is an issue out there in our society. And I don't think anything he said or did was really that outlandish or that bad. But to be out of your occupation for 2+ that stuff, other than we heard that the AAF, he had some $20 million contract demand. I mean, if he's just still doing that kind of stuff, that's crazy. But I think when you really break down his protest and the things he did, it wasn't as horrible as people make it sound. Actually, probably trying to stand up for something that was right, but he's just people have totally flipped the script on him. So anyway, I'm not a supporter or a guy that bashes him really. I was thinking from football, and I think from a football perspective, if he had the right mindset and took the right contract and came in, it could be helpful to a team. But I also think that if he's not in good space in either of those areas, the distractions, the other things that come with it, wouldn't be worth it. And I think the Lions is just something they normally don't do. So that's my take on it. You got any comebacks with that, or you want to move on to the next question?
Yeah, let's move on to the next one. I don't want to – I mean, we could do a whole show on this if we really wanted to.
Yeah, we got some other good stuff, man. So the next thing I had was, man, this really was banging around in my brain, Grifka, and I threw it out to some of the people. Do you think JD and Devin White out of LSU could play on the field at the same time for the Detroit Lions? Like, before you respond – to me, Devin White might be my safest football player on my board. He's an absolute monster. Everybody that talks about him, I haven't heard really a bad thing about him. He can cover. He can run to the football. He's a leader. He's smart. He plays 3 downs, all this stuff. I mean, I'm getting this crazy idea in my head that, man, those two people in the middle of your defense can really help our Lions. Like, what do you think? Can they play together, and is that something you'd be advocate at? And I'm talking about at number 8. Taking Devin White if you think it's a fit and if you think it could happen.
I think it depends on what type of defense they plan on running. I mean, if they seem to be kind of in a they go back between the 3-4 and the 4-3. They seem to do that a little bit last year, but honestly, I think these two are really similar players. I mean, they're like you said, they both can run to the ball. I mean, we've seen some of the tackling that JD, some of the bad angles that he takes every once in a while. I mean, he seems to be getting better on the blitz. Coverage skills are still a little hit and miss. But, Devin White at LSU, I mean, he was pretty good. I mean, he was good. I mean, there was a couple of games he had to sit out half for, was it the targeting calls or whatever that he had. I know he had a couple of those as well. But, I mean, could they play on the same field? Yeah, if they're going to run like a more of a 3-4. But I believe they're both generally similar linebackers myself.
And that's what people said online. They were kind of like, man, he's almost the same player, but, he has better cover skills. That's something we've talked about on the podcast. To me, the Patricia defense is so versatile and so multiple that, I mean, if you look back at his New England days, I mean, he always had like Mayo and Hightower and who's the other big beast they always had in the middle? And then they got Van Noy, who's a big type linebacker. He made that work. So, I mean, to me, Matt Pat's not a guy that just puts one guy in the middle of his defense that's, 6 feet and some change, 240, 250, and then put some slight guys on the outside and let them run. I mean, he's had 2 big guys and he's had leaders there in the middle. So, I don't know, man. Like, Devin White just seems like such a good prospect that I'm, like, fired up about it. And, like, the other big thing I was thinking in my head is that when you break down a defense, when you have edge rushers, like, they're great if they can get after the quarterback, but they usually aren't the best at, run stuffing, all that other stuff. Then you move into defensive tackles. Like, If they're great run stuffers, that's great, but they're usually not great pass rushers. You go out to your corners. I mean, if they're incredible in coverage, great. Some of them are good tacklers, but it's hard to find both. You move back to your safeties. Those guys, either usually have one or the other. They're usually a thumper or they can go try to track down the football. But to me, those big middle linebackers that can run, as I said, I'll just put it in a capsule. They help you in run stuffing. They help you in coverage. They help lead your defense. They help communicate with all the other players. You can move them in and out. You can rush them. You can do all this stuff. Like, to me, it's just an incredibly versatile position. If we're going to be a versatile defense, my brain is starting to say that we need more than just Jared Davis there in the linebacking core and then some surrounding pieces. And Devin White is a freaking beast. So I'm starting to get on that train. That it might seem early at 8, but that's where you're going to have to take him, man. You can't trade back to the middle of the round and hope he's going to be there. So something to think about, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I would go in a little bit different direction. I think the Lions need a few other players, and like you said, other people. I think they're real similar players. I don't get me wrong. I'm picking up what you're putting down, but I think there's a few other things they need instead. And like you said, taking this at 8 it's almost kind of like it's like best player available at that point is what it would seem like.
But my counter too is that, again, I broke down the positions like edge rusher. They're usually coming in and out of the game. They might have, 50 tackles or less, especially your DTs. They're not getting many tackles. Like a middle linebacker like Devin White can play 3 downs. He can play all the time. He'd probably rack you up, like 120 some tackles. If he's playing inside, outside, moving around.
120 tackles is a lot of tackles.
Yeah, but go pull up the stats. Like every top linebacker that plays the kind of downs and plays the way he does, like a Deion Jones nowadays, that's what they get, man. They get 120, 140. Like back in the day, like 100 was incredible, right? 100 tackles. Like now I'm seeing guys have 100, 120 tackles, 3/4 of the way into the season. So I'm just saying, when you really look at production, you look at playing time, that's why I advocate offensive linemen a lot, because they affect every play on offense. They're out there every play. When you can get a every play on defense type of guy, to me is more valuable sometimes than an edge rusher who's only going to be in subsets, third down, all that type of stuff. So I don't know, man. I think it's something to really consider. I hear where you're coming from. Most people are like, get the edge rusher, get the corner. But if you get Devin White early, there's not a ton of other great middle linebackers. There's other players. There's not great linebackers you can go get. There's other corners and there's other edge rushers in this draft. So it might be something you could get those guys later. I think it's something really to think about for the people. And if he shows out in the combine and is just that safe, physical, absolute beast in the middle of your defense, and if Jared Davis and him could get along, both being alpha dogs, like I think that'd be incredible. So anyway, let's hit a couple more questions and we'll get into Chicago Rewind. So Grifka, I got in a Twitter discussion then before I knew it, not with me, but with a few other Twitter folk. It became a Twitter beef, and it was all about quarterback win-loss record. I threw out there, somebody was talking about Sean Hill, and I said, oh man, remember he got so much love as like this great backup, but he never won anything. And then somebody was like, oh, he did this, that, and the other. And I was like, I'd love to see his win-loss record. And then it blew up on Twitter about like this guy saying that, quarterbacks don't have win-loss record. It's a team. And then other guys were like, oh, it's definitely win-loss record. Like it's a stat. It's not a stat. Oh my goodness. It just went crazy. Like my take was that go ask Tom Brady and the other greats if they think it's win-loss record or if it's, 53, we're all equal. Like, the greatest take it on their shoulders, not saying they do it all, but yeah, they take those wins and losses personally from the quarterback position. What's your take on that, Griff? Do quarterbacks have win-loss in your opinion?
Just to kind of, piggyback your statement, about win-loss record. The movie The Replacements, I mean, I don't think it's that great a football movie, but I really like this quote in it by Gene Hackman when he's looking at Keanu Reeves. He goes, "Winners always want the ball." So if you're telling me a quarterback's not thinking about win-loss record, if they have a winning record, they know it. They want the ball. They want the ball. They want to lead their team. They know. They know. It's like they can lead them to victory. So it's like, because you always hear them afterwards, yeah, I threw a bad pick, I threw this. So yeah, I agree with you. I think quarterbacks know win-loss record, and yeah, and you're right. I mean, if it's one of those things where your quarterback goes out and throws up 36 points, but your defense gives up 38, I mean, yeah, does the loss go on the quarterback? Yeah. Is it unfair? Yeah. But the winners always want the ball. So yeah, I have to go with that. I have to go with quarterbacks no win-loss record. Is it a stat I would use to base taking a quarterback on is my sole thing? No, because Steve Young wasn't that great in Tampa Bay, and he went to San Francisco, and he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. So it's some of it's talent around you, some of it's scheme, but that's so yeah. I think they believe in win-loss record. They can say in front of the mic, oh no, we're a team, blah blah blah. But winners want the ball. Tom Brady wants the ball. He knows I can go win this. Joe Montana wanted the ball. I mean, that's, yeah, I'd have to believe quarterbacks believe win-loss record. But like I said, as a GM, I'm not going to be like, I'm going to kind of look and say like, well, this guy's got talent. He's got this. Maybe it was the talent around him. I don't want to blame it all in him. But if this quarterback's out there not being able to read a defense, throwing picks left and right, and his defense, he's winning games, 10-7. I mean, that's just, I don't know. I think you have to go with the win-loss record. Quarterbacks know it, but I wouldn't call it the be-all, end-all stat for quarterbacks.
All right, well, Grifka, real quick. So I wasn't able to get to the Grifka bell a couple of times. I have to hit the mute button here and cough. I'm sorry again, people, not feeling well. But the other thing I'm not going to let you get away with is you had a couple Grifka-isms there that we got to go back to. I mean, the people are waiting on he's not that great, and you just blow by it like it's nothing. Like, I mean, can we rewind that and get out?
I just talked about Tom Brady, Steve Young, and Joe Montana. Yeah, they're all great. I mean, I'm not going to say they're not that great.
You said somebody wasn't that.
The one I'd have to say the most would be like Steve Young. Not that great, but
that's what I'm saying. That's what you said. Steve,
you don't like Steve Young.
That's what you said. Steve Young, not that great, but you didn't do the Grifka that not great. That's what the people want. So the other
Steve
thing,
Young, he's not that great. There.
So, Grifka, there's a couple things I want to hit on. First of all, like I said, when this beef was going down on Twitter, I kind of backed out of it. But to me, quarterback's really the only position in sports where, yeah, your win-loss record goes on the quarterback. You touch the ball every offensive play. You're the leader of the team. That's just the way it is. I mean, not saying it's right. I'm not saying nobody else contributes to victories, but you don't go up to the corner, the backup strong safety and say, what's your win-loss record? But yeah, the greats of the game, all the top players in the quarterback position are judged on wins and losses, especially in the playoffs. And that's just the way it is. So I agree with the whole team concept and, hey, we're all even. We're all out here working together. But, yeah, man, when this all came up, I just thought, yeah, of course I'm going to hold Sean Hill to what it was his win-loss record with the Lions. It was terrible. He probably won 1 or 2 games. What's Tom Brady's win-loss record, both regular season and playoffs? He's the greatest of all time, and you just sort him out that way. That's why Matt Stafford gets so much heat in this town, is because he's got all the stats and numbers, this, that, and the other. His win-loss record's not good. He has no playoff victories, and that's what they're judged on, fair or unfair. So that's where I stand on it. It was fun to kind of see everybody else's opinion online as they were going back and forth. It got kind of ugly, but I just think, yeah, other sports, it's hard to compare. If it's not an official stat, it's definitely a stat in most fans' minds when it comes to the NFL quarterback position.
Yeah.
All right, so last one, Grifka, and then we'll get into Chicago Rewind. Your boy, Mel Kiper, broke out his mock draft this week. He's got T.J. Hawkinson also, as others have had, going to the Lions at number 8. Can you paint a picture where a tight end at that spot would be okay with you? And I'm asking you this because I've heard your diatribe. You can go ahead and repeat it. I mean, the people love when you repeat the old bits, but it's been mocked a few different times now. I want to say there's 3 high-end writers on the NFL Network and otherwise that have sent T.J. Hawkinson of Iowa to the Lions at 8. I've got a big opinion on it that I'll give to you, but is there a picture you can paint, Grifka, where this would be okay or absolutely not?
No, I can't paint a picture where this is okay. Let's start off with this. I know this is. I was listening to the radio today, and they were talking about this draft. It was a local sports radio, and they were talking about that. And they said Lions fans have like this aftertaste or bad taste in their mouth when certain positions are brought up in the draft. And they said tight end.
Boy.
They said wide receiver. We go. And it's like, even at this point, like wide receiver, if they were to get like a stud wide receiver in the first round, I'd be okay with it. I'm over the Charles Rogers, Roy Williams, Mike Williams thing. That's way past me. I mean, where this team is at wide receiver, if they got some stud wide receiver, cool, I'm fine with that. But tight ends to me are luxury picks. I hate them. It's just me in the first round. I mean, if they trade back, get them a tight end late first round, like late 20s, okay, I can live with that. But a tight end at 8, nope. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, it's a luxury pick. That means all other spots are really, really good, because you're trying to tell me the best guy on the board at that point is a tight end at the 8th pick. No, I cannot believe that. I cannot believe that even when great tight ends say tight ends are not going to lead you to the Super Bowl. And I know people go, well, Rod Gronkowski. Okay, come on. Gronkowski, yeah, he's great. But they won the Super Bowls, and they won the Super Bowls because Tom Brady. Okay? Not because of him. Even Tony Gonzalez said it. Tight ends don't take you to the Super Bowl. You don't build your team around tight ends to go to the Super Bowl. You don't take tight ends at the 8th pick. Sorry, you don't. I don't care what these guys say. It's a luxury pick. It's like taking a strong safety. It's a luxury pick. I mean, sorry. That's the way I feel about it. I would be less than happy with that pick. I don't care how great. I don't care if the guy goes down to be a Hall of Famer with some other team. We could have had him. So what? This team has other needs than to take it. I mean, you're picking 8th not because you're strong, because no, forget it. No, it's a terrible pick. So go ahead. You can tell me how this would be so beneficial to the Lions.
Okay. Well, first, before I do that, I got to give you 2 Grifka bells. Mostly because if I could have bet a huge chunk of money that you were going to use the word luxury pick at least 2 to 3 times in that take, along with some of the other things you said, I'd be a rich man right now.
Yep.
But let me break this down for you. So my opinion right now is agreeing with you that, when you shake out all the different players, I don't feel he's the 8th best player on the board. No. I also don't feel, when you really look at tight ends, as much as they try to justify them now in the NFL, they stretch the middle of the defense, they can block and catch, they can do all these other things, they're weapons. I think when you really look at their numbers, I mean, a good tight end in the NFL might catch a really good one, in that 600 to 800 yards. He might get double-digit touchdowns. But when you look at their receiver counterparts or an absolute beast at running back, when you're talking about offensive weapons, if you hit on one of those other spots, they can go for 1,400 and 12, 15 touchdowns. It's a big difference in production. But again, we're not playing fantasy football. So I've seen on Twitter, again, that a lot of people are getting behind this notion. They're saying, oh man, it's going to happen. People are getting excited about it. The only thing I can say is that if Matt Pat and Bobby Quinn have found this guy to be, he's a sophomore, redshirt sophomore, I think, so he's young. He can block in line. He can catch. He can run after the catch. If they figured out that all these things match up, his age, his style of play, he's physical, but like I said, he can also make plays. If they think that this guy is the perfect prospect for what they're trying to build in regards to mentality, in regards to his play on the field, off the field, all these different things, if they're all matching up, that's the way that I could paint the picture. Because I was talking to the Big Hughes, shout out to Big Hughes, about this, and he said the same thing you did. I'd be livid if they did it. And I said, like, a lot of people be livid right when the pick's made, but wouldn't all that would matter would be what does he do on the Detroit Lions at that point? Because if he goes and balls out and can smash people in the run game, catch the football, he's scoring touchdowns, he's able to move chains, like, it doesn't really matter if you took him at 8 or you took him at 28, as long as he's a really productive, good football player, not for 2-3 games, not for 1 year, but for 5, 6, 7+ years in the NFL. It'd be a good draft pick, no matter where you take him if he fits. So I just want to tackle that off the top because it's a hot button item. It scares a lot of people. A lot of people are, like you said, there's better players out there. You don't take tight ends there. But my positive take, and for the Kool-Aid drinkers, is that if they do it to help you with your mindset now and to get you prepared, if they do it, it's all about what he does in a Lions uniform, and it's all about what his production is. And Hughes had a good point in comparison to the other people that get picked around him. Because if you pick Hockenson at 8, and he ends up being a pretty good tight end, even like a sometimes Pro Bowler. But then the 9, 10, 11, 12 picks, all these guys that are non-quarterbacks are absolute monsters. Yeah, you're going to regret that a little bit, because they're probably DNs and corners that you could have used as well. But I think, if you can get your mind around that, it all depends what he does if he comes here. Not so much, not taking tight ends that high. Tight ends are luxury picks. Well, yeah, unless they're absolute studs, and then you love them. Gronkowski was a second rounder. Does anybody think about that now? If he'd have been top 15, top 10 in that draft, nobody would shake their head now. But the NFL, as they do, bumped him down just because of position value and all that different stuff. So I told people both sides. You can really be pissed about it, or that's a way to kind of say, hey, Matt Pat and Bobby Quinn love him. He fits the scheme perfectly. Then you can get your head around and get behind it now before it happens. So
okay.
That's my take.
I have a quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a good, just to kind of piggyback and, go on with a question we had before. If you're sitting in the draft room, you're sitting there, and Matt Pat and, Bobby Quinn look at you, like, Derek, we're here at the 8th pick. Hawkinson's there and Devin White's there. Which one do we make? Who do you take?
Well, that's easy for me. I take Devin White, but like I said, if I'm a scout and they're the coach and the GM, and they say, okay, like, we take your opinion, but they're both on board with this Hockenson kid, I think they're going to take him. And me as a scout I'm going to be a little frustrated if I absolutely love Devin White and would stand on the table for the guy. But hey, that's who the coach and the GM want, and they take him, and he fits our offense as long as he goes out and plays great. We want to hit on our number 8 pick at whatever position. Want him to be an all-pro, a really productive starter, and that's what he would have to be. But yeah, that's a simple answer for me if they're both sitting there.
Okay, I was just wondering. Since
yep.
You made a nice plan, and what for Devin White. I was just kind of wondering how you felt about that. If both of them were sitting there, which one would you rather have, or which one would you throw your chips down for? So, okay.
Yeah. And we'll get back into it later because I can make a great same case for Hockenson. I could sit here for 5-10 minutes and tell you exactly why he fits the Lions, exactly why he'd be a beast in the city, why he could be an absolute, all-pro tight end for years to come. We can get into that later, but again, it's all about what these guys do in the field. And like I said, one guy online said the draft's all about value. And I agree with that. So, where the value meets, I think is important, but also you don't want to pass on great players, and especially ones that fit your team. So we'll get back into those kind of comparisons and would you do this guy or would you take that guy when we do a little bit more draft and free agency type talk.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is,
"Thank you for calling. Please listen to your list of 46 possible service options."
Which is why when you choose USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable. 24/7 online service for claims, access to roadside assistance, and more. All at the touch of a button. Start getting the service you deserve. Get a quote today. Ability to receive a quote depends on membership eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Want to be more active this summer? Sierra helps you save on everything from swimsuits to stand-up paddleboards, tennis rackets to fishing tackle. And if that doesn't float your boat, we also have pool floats. Sierra, let's get moving. To your local store, like now. Go!
Let's do the Chicago rewind, Grifka. Let's get it.
Yeah, let's knock out this game pretty quick, man.
All right. So let's do this, Grifka, because we got some good listener questions that we need to spend some time on as well. I've got some bullet points here. Let me just rumble through until I get to halftime.
Okay.
And then I'll throw it back to you, and you can either hit on some of those points or give a couple of your items that jumped out to you when you watched the game, and then we'll do the same for the second half. And that way we'll get through this thing quicker than we have in the past. It's a tough game for the Lions, and like I say, we can still give the people a good review of this game doing it that way.
Sure. Yeah, let's do this one.
All right. So the first bullet I had is, Deshaun Shedd. He just turned around late and absolutely got roasted and toasted by Allen Robinson on the first drive for a huge gain. Tariq Cohen had a great little cut inside. I think it was inside the 5-yard line. Made a nice little cut. JD got blocked up. Touchdown Bears. 4th and 2, I put here. There was a great little move and run by KJ. I thought he was good here in some different areas. It's really been fun to go back and see a healthy carry on and just see what we might have in the run game. Absolute deep touchdown to Allen Robinson on 3rd and 15. 3rd and 15, you should be getting off the football field. Instead, they're throwing a 40-plus yard touchdown. Deshaun Shedd can't turn around. Looks like an absolute fool trying to play defense. 3rd and 1, Lions get stoned, have to punt again, just shaking my head. Trubisky, I thought, was really good in the start of this game, not only with his throwing, but he was able to kind of move around by himself some time and make some plays. I got here a busted coverage, which was a TD to Miller, their rookie wide receiver. Just a bad missed tackle by GQ after Miller caught the football. And 19-0 Bears with 12 minutes left in the second quarter. Oh, boy. I got an interception here by Matt Stafford soon after that. Bad throw. Cornerback read it. Just was an absolute easy pick. I think Marvin Jones was the receiver on. I think he fell down, but still inexcusable. Soon after that, we get Jared Davis with a personal foul where Trubisky made us look silly running around with this long, elongated scramble. As he gets to the sidelines, out of frustration, I think Jared Davis just throws him out of bounds with a push. If you're going to get a flag, get your money's worth, go get him. He got a big flag there. Next thing you know, quarterback keeper touchdown, 26-0 Bears with 8 minutes left in the second quarter. Oh, my goodness. Grifka's turned the TV off. He hates this team. He's never going to root for the Lions again. I'm sitting there going, man, this sucks, but we can come back. Kenny G, soon after that, again, scoreboard 26-0, catches a football, spins the ball on a first down. Don't spin the ball, bro, when you're down 4 scores. I love you, KG, but that's inexcusable. Next thing you know, touchdown by Kerryon Johnson, up over the top, 26-7. And I think it was either 26-7 or 26-10, but that gets me to about the half. Griffo, what do you got to say about that? Just absolute atrocity of a first half by our Lions against Chicago.
This was for me, this was one of those games. You're right. There were points I turned this game away. I think I went on, threw on something else. I'm just like, I can't watch this. This was like almost a preseason game where, and I know you've said it before. All teams work hard. They all practice during the week. They all work hard. They all want to win. But gosh, it just seemed like the Lions were sleepwalking in the first half of this game. And my highlight, one of the things I have wrote down that you didn't put down, Levine Toilolo, first down catch, baby. Heck yeah, we might have found something in him. But yeah, it's just this was a game where Slay didn't play. He was hurt. So our starting quarterbacks were Nevin Lawson and Shedd. And yeah, you could just pretty much tell that Slay wasn't playing because those wide receivers, I jotted it down. Those wide receivers were open all game. All game long. It seemed like these guys were wide open. And then you mentioned on a couple of them where Shedd didn't get his head turned around on the one long touchdown. He got beat off the line, and watching the replay, he's running just as hard as he can, to catch up as Robinson's just nice and smooth running down the field. And it was just bad to watch. So yeah, some of the plays I remember like, oh, I didn't know that happened. Oh, I didn't know that happened. But Yeah, Stafford's pick, he just totally read that. It's like he had his mind made up, and the DB just totally jumped the route. I mean, he was staring down the wide receiver, so it was just a bad first half. So
All right, yeah, I agree with you. Let me rumble through the second half, and then we'll get to these questions. So soon after the half, I got here a busted coverage. Miller with a huge catch for Chicago. Again, just running through our defense, people not being able to tackle, get people on the ground. Lions get the football back. Kerryon Johnson puts it on the ground with a fumble. I thought he was really fighting hard for extra yards. He seemed to have it tucked away decently. This is just going to happen in football. Like, he kind of got hung up, and then somebody got it from behind and really ripped it out. Not happy about it, but also just one of those things that will happen, especially to a young guy and a guy fighting for extra yards, but still not good. I couldn't believe this. I didn't even recognize it till late in the game. 4 hits of the upright by the Bears kicker again. Like, another
Coach
kicker
Parkey,
just having absolute struggles. Like, unbelievable, man. This is insane, the Lions with kickers this year. Matt Stafford, not very good when he steps up. I felt like this is what kills me about him. I went on a big rant a few podcasts ago about his pocket presence. I won't do it again, but he drops back, and when he feels pressure, he tries to step up, but he kind of just steps up a little bit, and then the walls crumble around him, and he goes down. I mean, it happens basically any time there's a good rush there. So I really got frustrated seeing that time and time again. I mean, I know the line has to block better, but a lot of quarterbacks that step up, they step up and get out to the right, left, whatever it may be. You can't just step up and then think the rush is going to go away. Still coming in on you there. So that was frustrating to see. Nevin Lawson, get our marketing gimmick out. Lawson and tease, toast and roast. Nevin Lawson toasted again. Allen Robinson, another touchdown, 34-10 Bears. Another pick by Matt Stafford, just forcing things. I mean, I put here, this game just sucks at this point. Next thing you know, though, touchdown to Kenny G. Nice route, nice throw. We're still getting killed by the Bears, which is embarrassing. Lions get an onside kick, which is a real shocker. I didn't remember this play, but soon after that touchdown, they hit absolute awesome onside kick that got them the football. KG with an awesome catch on 4th down really went up and made a great play. They really made a great play together. Big 4th down conversion. Next thing you know, just a perfectly set up little screen pass with inside the 20 to Kerryon. He just absolutely walks in for a touchdown. Before I can blink, it's 22-34. Chicago with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. This is where I'm thinking, man, we might pull a rabbit out of our hat. Grifka still hates the team. 2-point conversion, they go for it. Looked like Kenny Galladay got the ball across. Of course, they didn't call it. Then Matt Peck has to go for the challenge, which he shouldn't have had to challenge the play. They look at it. To me, it was pretty clear. The ball was across. They stick with the call on the field like they do every other time. No real notes after that. The Lions got the ball back one more time, I think, with only like a minute left. Ball game. Lions lose. Real big beatdown in Chicago. They put up a little bit in the second half, but just a really bad game for them across the board.
Yeah, just to I jotted down a few just notes at the end of the game. After watching the game, it just seemed like the Lions were never really in that game. I know the point where they got to 34-22. I mean, but still, it just seemed like the game wasn't that close. It really didn't. It seemed like the second half more like the Bears took their foot off the gas. One of those things like in the pros, you see like they don't want to show them up. It just doesn't seem to happen all that much in the pros. I mean, if that was college ball, it seemed like they could have scored 50 points on them if they wanted to. But it just seemed like it was never that close. And I didn't think the Lions' O-line had a very good game. I believe we talked about this covering the game the first time. That offensive line just looked terrible. There was points where, like you said, Stafford stepped up and the pocket just collapsed. But I mean, that's not on Stafford maybe holding the ball too long, waiting to try to make a play. But gosh, that O-line just had another awful game. And the challenges, you said you thought he was clearly crossed the line, which I thought he was across the line also on that 2-point conversion. So maybe that's just us wearing Lions colored glasses. But that was one of those things, like it was like there wasn't enough to overturn it. So I thought the two challenges that Matt Pat had were just bad challenges. That's what I thought. So that was my take on the game.
All right. Well, I want to rebuff you real quick on the challenge issue because he's got no choice on that 2-point. I mean, they need that to make it a 2-score game, right? So what's he going to do? Like say, oh, it's close, I won't challenge, and then have to score 3 times? Like, that's not a coaching blunder, Grifka.
No, I mean, it's just I don't think it was a good challenge. I mean, that's just my opinion. And it was at what, 34? It was at 34-22, so it just would have made it 10 points. So it's already 2 scores. This is say you have to score 2 touchdowns as opposed to a touchdown and a field goal. So it's still 2 scores.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, again, it's a fine challenge. It's a bad call by the refs, and it's frustrating to even have to challenge that. You know, it's just like, why am I throwing this when he was pretty much had the ball even with the line, his arms over the football. Anyway, we won't get into it too much, but I don't know. This is a game to, if you're going to bag on Matt Pat, they started terribly, and they're just getting eaten up on defense by the Bears. So that's either on Matt Pat or Mother Goose. They're not getting the defense ready to go. But, yeah, I mean, we couldn't cover anybody. We couldn't that was pretty much it. I mean, they didn't really run the football.
Yeah,
just couldn't cover anybody.
Defense, I made that same note here. Now that I'm going through my notes, I thought the run defense was decent. I mean, for other parts of the year that they were getting gashed, but then they got snacks. I mean, I thought the run defense was pretty decent, but maybe they didn't need to run the ball because those wide receivers. I mean, those cushions that they were getting were just massive. I mean, it's not like Trubisky was like fitting the, slinging the ball through windows and stuff like that. Making these great. These guys were open by like 5 yards. I mean, there's like nobody standing around these wide receivers that he was hitting. I mean, kudos for Trubisky finding the open guy, but I mean, when he's throwing it to guys, there's like nobody around these wide receivers for like 5-10 yards. I mean, that's just these guys were so wide open. That's just poor defense.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. And again, I want to apologize to people. I know they don't want to hear about me being sick here on the podcast, but I've missed some Grifka bells because I've been on mute. I've been popping another cough drop or coughing on mute button, so I apologize. I've been missing some of those Grifka bells and haven't been able to jump on Grifka for a couple things he said, but that's just what it is this week. We'll get through it. We'll be back next week. I'll be rocking ready to go to fight Grifka on every little thing. Let's not talk about this game anymore, Grifka. We got a few questions from the people that I selected that sent some things in on Twitter. Everybody out there, please make sure to do that. Get with us on like early on in a week, Monday or so. Send us some questions on Twitter. We go through them. We kind of select a few and get them on the show here. How do we tackle those questions, Grifka, and then get out of here for this show so I can go ahead and feel better?
Yeah, let's knock these out. I'm always interested in these questions.
All right, cool, man. So first question came on Twitter from, I have it here, his name is Jay Gala. I don't have his Twitter handle, but he wanted to know if the Patriots were to franchise Flowers, do you think we should still go after him or no?
No, I think that the price tag would be too high. I mean, Flowers is good. I would take him, but if they franchise him, I wouldn't. No, at that point, it's just kind of like no. What? Because you have to give up like a first round pick or something like that. I can't remember exactly everything that's tied to it. I mean, just the cost and.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty simple one. I mean, again, it's good thought process. He's trying to think, okay, if they were to deal with Flowers, what would you do? But I think it's already come out in the media that they're not going to franchise Flowers. Everybody's getting pretty excited by that because he is kind of the Detroit Koolaid drinkers' number one target. Is like, let's go get this guy. Let's pay him what we paid Ziggy, but let's actually get production and get a healthy, good defensive end out of it. A young guy too. I can't remember. I want to say the rules have always been like you franchise and then, either go to get a guy. It's 2 first rounders. So, yeah, absolutely not. I mean, that's kind of the killer on all these good defensive players. Like the minute they get franchised, like they're off not only our boards, but everybody's, in regards to trying to go get them at that point. But, if Flowers was to get franchised, I mean, you're just trying to look at what are the other DNs out there that are available. Can you go get one? And then, Grifka, this is a side question, but I need to bring it up. I started another fire online on Twitter with this one. I said, this might be a hot take, but if everybody starts getting tagged And if everybody starts coming off the board and you're not seeing good free agents that you think could come to Detroit, might want to tag Ziggy again one more year.
No. I read that same thing and I just like shook my head. I'm like, whatever, man. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Because the thing was like, it was not even tag. It's just like, do you re-sign him? And like people are like, well, you know, for the right price. And it's just like, no. It's just like, whatever. You can sign this guy, give him money. It's just like he'd be hurt again. I mean, you get Zach Follett in there, call him a China doll, whatever.
See, but I don't agree with your just no answer because it always makes me think that you don't think about any of the factors. Like if Lawrence is tagged,
dude's injury prone, man. Go draft somebody then. The guy's injury prone. Time to cut bait. Sorry. And I thought about the factors, and you've said it 1,000 times. This guy's this size, weighs this much, speed. You're right. Yeah, if he's on the field, awesome. Look to resign him, tag him, whatever. The guy's been injured a lot. It wasn't just last year. I mean, it was the year before last year. It's just the guy's injury prone. Face it. I mean, that's all it is. You can spin it however you want and say like, well, look at you're right. His measurables are great. They are. They're prototypical. What you're looking for, quick, when he plays type thing. Yeah, I understand that. But the guy's injury prone. There's a point where you just got to cut bait, man. Sorry. You know, try to put a football team together here. You're not selling blue jeans. Like, whatever. Like, okay, but go. I mean, he may look like a football player, prototypical defensive end, body type, whatever. I don't care. He's never on the field. I mean, talk about bad taste in the mouth with drafting tight ends and wide receivers. The guy's never on the field. Forget it.
Can I talk now?
Go ahead.
Okay, because I don't want to go for 30 minutes with you, which we could on this topic. But I want to go back to a couple simple points. One is the Grifka, he's always hurt. He never plays. And it almost doesn't fly because do you remember a certain quarterback for the Detroit Lions that never played for 2-3 years to start his career? Oh, he's hurt all the time. Oh, man, he'll never be the same. He got the shoulder surgery. Grifka would have, if you're keeping your same opinion that once you're hurt, you're always hurt, then we should have moved on from Matt Stafford a long time ago, way before he threw 40 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. Am I right? But, imagine that. He's been able to bounce back,
oranges,
and
he's
been healthy.
Oranges.
How?
Apples and oranges. For the same reason why you always say to pay the quarterback because he's the guy who always touches the ball. And I saw Matt Stafford run back on the field and throw a touchdown pass with a separated shoulder. I saw Ziggy, take 10 weeks off. I mean, it's like this guy, he's practicing, but he's not playing. He's practicing, he's not playing. Because remember, I threw the question at you. Maybe the Lions are just holding him back so he won't get that big a contract, and you laughed at me. Well, somebody's setting him. I mean, the guy's out there practicing, but he's not dressing on Sundays. I mean, yeah, Matt Stafford, once again, saw the guy throw a touchdown against Cleveland with a separated shoulder.
Okay, we heard you the first time, but the thing is that, no one's holding him back so he gets another contract. What about the other side of the coin, Griffin? Maybe this guy had a really rough shoulder injury. He's out there roughing it through practice but couldn't get good enough to be in the games. Then when he did get in the games and he was toughing it out, yeah, he made a few plays. I think either on this game or the game that we'll review on Friday, he's got a couple sacks when he's out there. So all I'm saying is that if all the DNs are dried up and this guy is a physical monster, hey, maybe we'll give it a spin for one more year at $19 million. Like, we've got the cap space, and if you're not going to get anybody else, what are you going to do? Just sit on that money and go draft 2 rookies and hope it works out? I'm just saying it's something to think about, and I think this plays to Jay Gallo's question of, hey, we're looking for a defensive end in free agency and in the draft, and if we can't get some of the top names, we got one sitting here that we can get, that we don't have to recruit, we don't have to really overpay. We just have to pay the franchise tag to keep him.
You just got so much man love for Ziggy. You really do. Because your whole thing, I mean, you're always talking about drafting. If you can get this guy cheaper, draft this guy, look at the money. And you just said it. What, you want to just go get 2 guys cheaper and hope it pans out? You tell me that all the time with the draft. That is one of your biggest things that and now you're okay with. You don't want to do that just to keep Ziggy around? Yeah, I don't know where your man love for Ziggy comes from. I really don't. Because the point you always make to me about saying well, you can go get this guy cheaper in the draft. You look what you're spending on, blah, blah, blah. But you don't want to do that to keep Ziggy around in case the free agent market's dried up.
Grifka,
That makes no sense to me.
I'm all for. Let me know when I can talk.
Go ahead. But I just proved you just went against your point that you always make for your man love for Ziggy. I don't get it.
Grifka, I'm all for getting players to the draft. What I'm not for is like here when we have this 3-year window where we want to win and we have some players that to just put 2 rookies that I'm probably going to get maybe in the first round and the 4th round out with Aquara and think, oh, we're good. Like I know what the market is for defensive ends. Like, you know, yes, I want cheaper options. Yes, I would like rookies that can come in and develop and be good. But to take one more spin with Ziggy Ansah at 19, 20 million, knowing that that's what Lawrence is going to get, that's what, you know, a guy like Flowers is going to be somewhere in that range. Like, I just saying it's an option, and that I think the guy, if he can stay healthy, let's throw that out there, still has at least 3 some good years left. And taking one more year of that on the Detroit Lions wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. That's it. There are better ways to build it. There are better options saying, man, I hope I can draft a guy in the 4th round and he'll be good and he'll cost me $500,000. Yes, I love that option. But if everything's dried up and they think, man, if we could keep Ziggy at 20 and we can draft Farrell or get Oliver or one of these other guys and put those guys with Aquara, and then we already feel good about our other positions, like that might be what they're thinking in regards to building this defense for next season. I mean, yeah, I always want to build for being good for 10 years. But anyway, we're going down that path of 20, 30 minutes. But I'm throwing it out there online, and I'm throwing it out there to you today. So let's get to this next question. Mike, the CEO, is back in again. He wanted to know, we talked about this on a previous show, but we'll readdress it. Is Antonio Brown, it's a 3-parter actually. Excuse me. Is Antonio Brown a realistic target? If you had to guess today, who do you think the tight ends will be, just by saying our current guys, rookies, free agents, whatever? And then he also wants to know, do you think Agnew will be strictly special teams or used? I'm going to put more on D. He put used on D, but like, you know, Agnew has played some defense. He's also not just a special teamer, he's on an offense as well. So tackle those in any order you want, Grifka. And like say, let's move through this one. We got another one as well, and then we'll shut the show down.
Okay. Antonio Brown, realistic target. I think we've hashed this one out before. As a fan, I love it. But as a GM, like what you'd have to pay for him, what he's doing, I don't know if he fits. You know, that's a lot of money to sink into one quarterback and one wide receiver. So, I mean, realistic, I don't think the Lions are going to do that simply because all this Twitter beef he's had, or this beef he's had with Ben Roethlisberger, all of a sudden, like, kind of throwing him under the bus, and I don't see that happening. So, GM-wise, no, I don't think he's a realistic target. Fan-wise, yes, I would love him on the team. Who will be the tight end? I think they're going to draft a tight end, but not in the first round. I think they're going to maybe go get somebody later. I don't think I wouldn't mind a tight end in the second round if Noah Fant's sitting there, because I think Noah Fant's good. I mean, he's not obviously T.J. Hawkinson great, but I think he could be a good serviceable tight end for this team in the second round. I could live with a tight end in the second round, and so yeah, I would like Noah Fant out of Iowa. But if they have somebody on the roster, maybe they may bring back is our boy Levine Toilolo. Man, I hyped the heck out of this guy. Might have found something with him. So, some of the great catches he's made, and plus, Levine Toilolo. And then Agnew, strictly special teams. I think if he's going to be on the team, I think they would need to use him a little more, that hybrid, on defense, on offense type thing. Offense to run, end around and all that stuff, because like you've said before, I think on kick returns, that position's kind of becoming obsolete now with the rules that they're making. Seems a lot of touchbacks. I mean, yeah, every once in a while you get a decent kick return. Punt returns, he can be dangerous on a punt return, but even still, it seems like there's a lot of watching a lot of football, it seems like punting's becoming one of those things where there's an awful lot of fair catches and like kicking away from guys who are dangerous. Very rarely do you ever see anybody kick a ball right at somebody who's a dangerous punt return anymore. It seems like everything's angled to giving the punting team a realistic chance of tackling the guy. So I don't think he's strictly a special teams player, but I think if he's going to be on the team, he's going to have to play some more D or be that special, end around offense guy. I don't know, one of those guys you run trick plays for him on offense.
All right, I'll be quick on this. To me, Antonio Brown's not really a realistic target. Just his price tag, he wants more guaranteed money. He's just a fool off the field right now. Great player. There's a little tiny part of me that thinks he could come here, and be incredible. As far as just bringing him in and him getting his head on straight and being an absolute crazy playmaker that Detroit loves. But I'd say that's at about 10% in the back of my head that if it happened, there's a million reasons I could not like it, but I would have to like it because how exciting it would be on the field for a couple of years, but not realistic in my opinion. Tight ends, I think you're going to see him go out and be aggressive in free agency. It's not a great free agent tight end market, but I think they'll look that way. And then, also in the draft, I think this is such a deep tight end draft that, if they're not set on the one type of guy early on there, I think you can kind of wait it out until you feel like the value meets a player and then go ahead and take a guy. Again, I don't know that tight end in this new system, more physical, more just kind of old school offense. I don't know that you need a top echelon pass catcher type of guy, so they could probably get a lower end guy in free agency, a guy in the draft wherever it fits and make that position work. I mean, we got by decently this year with no production from that position. So, if you upgrade it, great, but it didn't kill us. And then Agnew to me is a guy that, as Grifka said, I mean, the kicking game is such a sort of non-issue to me nowadays. I mean, if he makes a punt return a year, that's tremendous. If he just gives us decent field position, excuse me, every once in a while, that's okay. And then I like him in offense on gadget plays. And then I also think, if he's been watching tape and working while he's sort of been hurt and different things, that I think could be a sneaky little defensive player. I mean, a good depth corner. So he's really gritty. He's got a great mentality. When I've heard his interviews and stuff, he feels like an absolute football player with some crazy speed. I mean, I think he ran like a 4.3 something. So I think you can play him, at all three levels. His main impact would probably be for me more so on trying to could he be an offensive weapon, and then how can we use him on defense more so than the kick game. So let's get to this last one, Grifka, and I actually I'm gonna have to take a look here. This is a tough one off top of your head, but see what you can do with it. Logan wants to know, you have any low key type free agents that you think the Lions could sign or that fit the team that won't break the bank? I mean, he's not talking about those obvious names, but some of the guys that might be a little under the radar.
Okay. Let's see. A couple guys come to mind. If you're looking, I don't know if they're looking at the slot, if they're settled on Powell or not. But a guy I don't think will break the bank. I told you before I hate this guy, but this guy seems to catch the ball when I throw it to him. That's Cole Beasley. I don't like the guy, but guy just seems to get open. Maybe, I saw him in a number of games with the Cowboys. Cowboys are on TV a lot, and I watch those games. But he catches the ball, and he seems to get open. And I don't think he's going to cost an awful lot. I mean, so that might be some guy the Lions might be interested in, I guess. Another guy on defense, really kind of looking at corner. I read this one too. I don't know exactly what if he's somebody they might make a run at or not, but that's Darqueze Dennard, the cornerback from Cincinnati, and he's not great, but he's not He's not terrible. I mean, he's better. He'd be better than anything that's on that other side right now. I mean, Slade's a better cornerback than him, but those are a couple of positions that, right off the top of my head, that I've just kind of read things and looked at, that if the Lions like kind of made a run in them, didn't break the bank, right price, I could see him on the team.
All right, yeah, good stuff. I mean, I'd like to tackle this again when we kind of do a free agent show and whatnot, but if I just had to throw out a couple quick names, I was just sort of looking. I have a sheet I'm working on for free agents, but I haven't, totally went through it. But if I had to go some lower key names, I mean, Daryl Worley's a corner out in Oakland. He had some off-the-field type issues. Depending on if he's worked through those, he's only 24 years old, and you might be able to get him at a good price if you're looking for a corner. He was pretty good in college and had some moments in the NFL. A tight end option, too, to think about. This guy hasn't done anything in the league, but I like his size. I like what he did in college, and I like, he could be useful in the pass game in certain areas, like down towards the red zone, or if you could find a way to use him. Max Williams was a guy I liked coming out of the draft. He's been buried kind of in Baltimore. They obviously drafted a couple new tight ends, so he'll be on his way out. He's young. He'll be cheap and could be better than what we currently have at the tight end position, despite Grifka's love for Levine Toilolo. I mean, you could have something there, right, Grifka?
We have something there. Might have found something.
And there's probably quite a few other names, so I'll just throw those two out for now, half because I can't breathe right now with this cold I got, and we'll definitely tackle that more as we get going. But yeah, man, some people have had some great takes on some free agents and people we should be looking at, so we'll definitely have to get into that. I have to find a way, Grifka. Maybe the next couple of weeks we'll find a way to breeze through a couple more rewinds. That way we can get into free agency before we get too close to the time. We'll have to figure out how we can do that.
Away. That's only a couple weeks away, so.
Yeah, definitely. So that's all I got, man. The question of the day. Grifka, you got anything else for the people?
Nope.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This is normally where I go ahead and thank you and tell you to subscribe on iTunes. But, again, fighting through this cold, thank you so much for putting up with me today. Hope you enjoyed all these different questions we got to tackle in this terrible game by our Lions as the Chicago Rewind. We'll come back next show and get a good one to review against the Panthers. Thank you so much. I'm going to go take a cough drop. Everybody, we're out.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions. Drink it in, man.